I have had Dr. Benjamin Hardy on the podcast. He's one of my favorite authors. He's a studies future self, entrepreneurship, and other things. But he has this great book out called The Gap and the Gain. And he describes how so often we live in the gap where we're comparing ourselves to others versus the gain where we're comparing ourselves to our past selves and the progress that we've made. Do you think the same thing applies to how we use our voice?
I've heard that distinction before, and it's so valuable. I don't know. I think probably we should just apply it. I think that what tends to happen when I coach people, but also what I've been hearing from readers, which is heartening, is that introducing some of this basic language around voice bias, around standards, around our opportunity slash responsibility to shift those standards for our own sake as well as our kids can have a pretty instantaneous effect on our own relationship to our voice. So maybe you don't automatically think, oh my God, I love my voice now, if you've had a life of hating it. But you might release the feelings of embarrassment or shame around it and realize that's a story that doesn't belong to you at all. And once that stuff is gone, well, then we really can just play. One of the things that I do bring over from my background in the arts is that actors think about every possible way that they can say a line in terms of choices. We can do that too. We don't have to be an actor, and we don't have to be thinking about manipulating how we sound or something that feels like a non-starter. But we can think to ourselves, what are my options? If I continue to use vocal fry, after reading chapter 2 of my book and knowing what it does to my listener, if I continue to use vocal fry, okay, cool. I've made a choice. It's a choice. I'm owning it. It's a way of taking agency in how we speak, because I am a huge fan of not demonizing any of our vocal habits. One of the things I absolutely adore about linguistics is that linguists will say every vocal habit any of us have ever picked up, we have picked up for a reason. It has served us in some way. So we should probably honor that. Oh, that kept me safe in that room. That kept me feeling comfortable. That kept me not getting kicked out. That kept me seeming likable. And then what are our choices from there? Well, what version of me comes out around my favorite people when I have absolutely nothing to prove? You told that story about the person you interviewed who suddenly made you feel like you were in a really evaluative space, as linguists would say, right? A space where you were feeling like you were being evaluated. An evaluative space for any of us puts us into a completely different vocal mode. We're much more likely to stop being our weird selves and be generic when we feel like we have something to prove. In fact, I like to joke that we all have only two modes. Of course, it's a joke because we have a billion, but we have sort of two categories of modes of communication. One is what we are like in an evaluative space, whether it's a literal evaluation, like a job interview, or an abstract feeling of one, right? I feel like I'm being judged. I feel like I'm being sized up. How we come across in those spaces, how we kind of play small or push into some bigger version of ourselves that doesn't actually feel honest either. And then the other way of communicating is when we don't. So what is that? What version of us shows up when we're with our favorite people who totally get us? How do we tell a story? How do you tell a story of the, oh my God, you'll never guess who I just ran into at Target, the story? What version of you is that? That's actually often more telling of the version of us that can show up when we're talking about what matters to us most on a stage.